Okay, let's be real. You can't turn it anywhere without hearing about generative AI. It's the talk of every boardroom, right? But here's the dirty little secret behind all that hype. For all the billions being poured in, most companies are seeing, well, nothing. In this explainer, we're going to dig into why that is, and more importantly, what the very small group of companies who are actually winning are doing so differently.
And let's just start with a number that should honestly stop you in your tracks. A recent MIT report found that 95% of all enterprise GenAI pilots fail. They never produce any real, measurable value. They just stay stuck as an experiment. Think about all that wasted time, money, and energy. It's massive.
And this leads us to this key idea from the report, something they call the GenAI Divide. And it's exactly what it sounds like, a massive chasm. On one side, you have that 95%, just spinning their wheels with cool demos and science projects that ultimately go nowhere. And on the other side, you've got this tiny 5% who are quietly transforming their businesses and generating real money. So what's their secret? What's separating the winners from everyone else?
Well, to understand how to get on the right path, we first have to look at the wrong one. We need to explore the common pitfalls, the traps that nearly everyone is falling into, so you can see them coming and steer clear. And look, these aren't just separate little issues, they're like dominoes. It all starts with a memory problem. You know this feeling, right? Where you have to explain the context to the tool every single time you use it. It's maddening. And because it has no memory, it's impossible to really integrate it into your actual workflow. It can't talk to your CRM, it can't plug into your other systems. And that's when you fall into the science project trap. It's a neat toy, but it's not solving a real business problem. And maybe the worst part of all is the learning gap. The tool never gets any smarter. It makes the same dumb mistakes day after day because it can't actually learn from you.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This quote from a CIO in that MIT report just says it all. You can almost feel the exhaustion, can't you? Leaders are just getting buried under this mountain of demos for tools that are basically just shiny wrappers or fun experiments with no clear purpose. They're looking for tools, not toys. They're looking for real value. Okay, so that's the path to failure. Enough of the doom and gloom. Let's flip the script. Let's talk about the right path. What are the winners, that successful 5%, doing to get across this GenAI divide and actually make money?
And the very first clue is a huge one. It all comes down to a simple choice. Do you build it yourself, or do you buy a solution? Well, the data from MIT couldn't be clearer. If you try to build an AI platform internally, you've got about a 33% chance of success. But if you partner with an external, specialized company, your success rate jumps to 66%. Let that sink in. You literally double your chances of success just by making that one choice.
So this really becomes the core playbook for the 5%. First, like we just saw, they buy, they don't build. They leverage platforms that have already been battle-tested. Second, they target the back office. While everyone else is chasing the next flashy marketing tool, the real winners are quietly automating the messy, expensive work in things like finance and document processing. Third, they demand that their AI tools can actually learn. They need systems that remember what you told them and get smarter every time you use them. And finally, and this is so important, they empower their people on the front lines. They give the tools to the leaders who actually live with these problems every single day and let them drive the change.
Now, that all sounds great in theory, but let's look at a real-world story that puts all these principles into action. A company called DocPrep 911 is the perfect case study for how focusing on the boring back office stuff can create absolutely mind-blowing results. So just picture this. DocPrep 911 was literally drowning in paperwork. We're talking thousands upon thousands of real estate documents every month, all processed by hand. It was slow, it was super expensive, and of course, it was full of human errors. They were stuck in total manual chaos. But then they brought in the right AI system, and they moved from that chaos to complete automated clarity. Suddenly, document intake, data extraction, all of it was automated and integrated with their other systems.
And the results, they're just staggering. First off, they were able to run their entire document processing workflow with 95% less manual labor. And that directly led to an 80% reduction in their operational costs. Just gone. On top of that, they could process all that work 80% faster.
But here's the real magic. It's not just about the savings. It's what those savings enabled them to do. They were able to cut their prices for customers by 50%. Talk about a competitive advantage. And their team, they were freed up from that mind-numbing manual work to focus on sales and actually growing the business. That is what crossing the GenAI divide really looks like.
So you're probably thinking, okay, that's amazing for them, but what about us?
How do you take these lessons and actually chart a course to the right side of this divide? Well, it all boils down to 4 simple, actionable steps.
Here it is. This is your playbook. First, start with ROI. Forget the cool science projects and target an operational area where you can actually measure the value. Second, partner, don't build. We saw the data. It literally doubles your chance of success. It's a no-brainer. Third, demand technology that adapts. Your system has to have continuous learning, and it has to plug into your existing workflows. And finally, empower your people. Give the tools to the folks who are closest to the problems. They're the ones who will make it work.
So here's the bottom line from everything we've looked at today. This gap, this GenAI divide, it's not shrinking. It's getting wider. The companies that are figuring this out are creating a massive advantage, and that window to make the leap is closing. So the question I want to leave you with is a pretty simple one. Which side of the divide will you choose to be on?